Hey guys, it's Lauren from Granite State Yarns, and we are going to do a little bit of a dye with me today. So I have a pan of water, and it is just simmering, and I'm adding a little bit of citric acid to the water, and that lowers the pH, and it allows my acid dyes to work. Acid dyes work with acid and hot water. So I'm putting in a little bit of blue dye here. And then next I'll be adding a bit of magenta. This is basically, you are watching me with my creative process. I had no real plans for this yarn. I just happened to be dyeing up another project and decided I had a little bit of extra time, so I might as well do a little bit of experimenting. So here I am kind of playing with a little bit of dye, and I always seem to go back to purple. I just love purple. Definitely blue, pink, purple, those are my favorites. So tends to be my fallback when I am looking to do a little bit of dyeing. So I have mixed the colors with my favorite tool, my chopsticks, and I'm deciding that the color just isn't quite strong enough, so I'm adding significantly more dye. So there's a bit more blue and then a bit more magenta, and you'll notice that there's pauses in between me adding these things, because that's me going over to my notebook, which is just off camera, and that's where I leave my notes, so that way I can remember how I dye these up, so that way I can recreate them again in the future. Don't you just love how those colors are mixing in the pan? Oh, looks like a galaxy or something. It's so pretty. So here I am dipping my damp yarn into the color, and you can already see that dye is just getting soaked up by the wool. There's a very few dye molecules left in there compared to what it looked like in that first pass. See, it just right into the yarn. And I really like how I've got these differing pinks and blues and purples there, and then some spots of the yarn that really don't have any dye on them yet. That's how I get tonals or variegated yarns. And I really like those spots that don't have a lot of dye on them, because that is fantastic real estate for my favorite, speckling. So I am definitely going to get some speckles on this yarn here, and I'm just going to stick with the colors that I already put into the pan. I'm just going to use my gloved hand, and I dip into the dye powder and then just sprinkle it on top, concentrating mostly on the spots that have not a whole lot of dye on them already, but definitely putting a bit on the spots that are dyed. That way I get some speckles kind of all over the yarn. So there's that blue, and then I'm going to do a little bit of magenta there. So I buy my dye largely from Dharma Trading Company, and they make their own line of acid dye. And I find it to be rather cost effective, and the colors are really nice. I do use jacquard dye as well, but not in this particular batch of yarn. So at this point now I have the blue dye and the magenta dye, but I would like to get some purple speckles in there. So off camera I am mixing a little bit of each of those colors together into a little measuring cup, and adding a bit of citric acid to it as well. Here I'm trying to find which color is what. So I'm gonna mix those together, so that way when I sprinkle the powder on, the powder will be purple. And that way I'll get some nice purple speckles, which I think will mix quite nicely with the blue and pink that are already there. I don't always add the citric acid to this part, but sometimes I like to. I haven't noticed too much of a difference yet to really know if that is really effective or not, but I have seen some people recommend that, so sometimes I do it when I remember. And there you can see that those speckles are pretty similar in color to the color that was in the dye bath. So here, making sure that I get every last little bit of powder onto my yarn there. And if you looked closely, you'll see that there's still some dye stuck to that little measuring cup, as well as a significant amount of dye that is stuck to my gloved fingers. So off camera here, I am going over to my sink and I'm getting a little bit of water in a cup. And I'm just kind of rinsing off the dye that was there, because I want to make sure that I can use every last little bit of it. I don't want it going down my drain. I don't want to throw it away, so I'm just going to put it in a little bit of water. That way I can then pour that leftover color directly on top of this yarn. Yeah, there's my little handy dandy reusing my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee cup, and it's got all of that dye mixed in, and I'm just going to pour it over the top. I don't always pour this over the yarn that I'm dyeing. Sometimes I save that yarn, and that's when I'll make some, one-of-a-kind colorways. But for this time, I felt that a few little swirls of more purple would look really, really nice. And there I am, just dipping the little measuring spoon that I was using. Again, just want to make sure that all of that dye is getting into that yarn. So at this point too, I am thinking to myself, do I want to just dye the speckles on one side, or do I want to flip this yarn over and also dye the other side? If I just do one side, it will kind of give an effect where there'll be spots of speckling on part of the yarn, but it won't be quite as uniform. So I'm thinking and hemming and hawing and wondering, do I want to have, smaller areas of speckling, or do I want to have more areas of speckling? And I know, giant shock, I end up deciding, you know what? I want speckles on both sides. So I'm going to flip my yarn over, and again, just kind of zhuzh it around with those chopsticks. And I'm going to repeat the process of the speckling, the mixing of the powders to get the purple, and then speckling that, and then once again cleaning off my equipment and my gloves in the water to pour on top of the yarn. So I'm going to speed up here. So here we go, nice and quick. Those pink speckles, magenta speckles, then our blue, and then we're going to mix them up to make our purple speckle. Beautiful. And I'm going to slow down because I want to show you all that dye stuck to my gloves and in my measuring cup. So again, speeding things up, I'm going over there and rinsing off my gloves into that water. And then look at, oh, nice clean gloves. And again, we're going to pour our purple on the top. Looks so nice. Definitely really excited about this colorway here. Alright, so now I'm just going to finish cleaning up, closing everything up, letting this simmer for a while so all that dye really gets into that yarn. And then I will rinse it in water, wash it with some wool wash, spin dry it, and here is the damp yarn after it's been spun dry. It will take a few days to dry usually. And then I will twist it up and take some photos. And here we are with our finished yarn. This is currently available in my shop at www.granitestateyarns.com.
Hey guys, it's Lauren from the Granite State Yarns podcast, and I am here coming to you from the great state of New Hampshire, where it is 52 degrees outside, also known as t-shirt weather in New Hampshire. It is so nice. It is sunny, the birds are singing, the snow is melting. So I'm outside to record today. I actually just finished up some dyeing, so that's why I am still in my fancy schmancy dyeing apron here. I did brush my hair, so that's something. I got a little bit of dye on my arm, the usual. So anyway, I'm Lauren, and I am the dyer behind Granite State Yarns, and I dye mainly sock yarn, both in fingering and DK weight right now. You can see a couple of my kids going down. My husband is out there And actually behind me here is a Garden Railway train layout. And so he's running some trains right now. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see any, but you know what, if I remember, I will take a little bit of video and add it to this so that way you can see his spectacular stuff back there. And he actually does have a YouTube channel, so if you're into trains as much as you are into yarn, and even if you're not really into trains, you should check it out because it's pretty spectacular. I'm not like a super rail fan, but I do really enjoy checking out my husband's stuff. One of my favorite things to do in the summer, especially when the weather's really nice, is to go and take my knitting down to the layout and watch his trains go and chit chat with him and do some knitting. It's beautiful. So this is my podcast where I talk about my knitting, crocheting, dyeing, sewing. Today I believe I just have knitting. Yeah, I have, and obviously, like I said, I have a little bit of dyeing from the dyeing that I just did this afternoon. And yeah, so I have some works in progress, finished objects, some new acquisitions, and I believe that is it. So I have a little bit of tea today. I'm going to talk about my mug, like all of the really cool podcasters do, and like I always forget. This is my Yarn Nerd mug that I got from Danielle at Midwest Dishes. And I have her old version. I know she recently changed how she does merchandise, and you can still get this mug. I don't know if it's exactly the same mug, but it's pretty darn close, I am sure. I know it has the same little graphic on it, so isn't it cute? It looks like me. I love it. So this is my absolute favorite tea. It is jasmine green tea, which is just the best if you've never had it before. It's like, if you like green tea, which I know some people really don't, which boggles my mind because it's my favorite, but it's kind of flavored with jasmine flowers. So it's a little bit floral and then a little bit like fresh from the green tea. It's so good. So good. Okay, so let us start with, I'll do my finished objects first. I think these are out of order from how I actually finished it, but that's okay. So first is a pair of sock blank socks that I finished up. I think it's coming up on nearly 2 weeks ago. But I dyed this sock blank back around Christmas time. It's the first time I'd ever done dyeing of a sock blank before, and it was part of my Christmas story collection that I had released for Christmas. And I did a few different sock blanks, and I ended up saving a couple for myself too because I couldn't resist. But it was a double knit sock blank, so you can see that they actually match quite well. So it had 2 strands that were knit together in that big rectangle. And so what I did was, and I talked about this in a previous podcast, at least one, maybe the last couple podcasts, but I started out by unraveling the whole sock blank into a couple of the little balls of yarn here. This is what I have left from this pair. And that did help a lot with the ramen noodle situation, as I call it. And you can see that after this has been in the ball for a little while, it actually straightens out quite nicely. So it made for a bit of a nicer knitting experience. I know some people don't mind the ramen noodle situation, and some people do mind it. I notice that if I am knitting with yarn that I had just unraveled, that it tends to loosen up my gauge a bit, and my gauge is already pretty loose, so it's not something that I really particularly love. I mean, I can either go down a needle size, and that usually can fix it, or even knit a smaller size. But for me, I think unraveling it and getting it all set like that seemed to work pretty well. This is only the second time that I've ever knit a sock blank before, but they did come out nice and definitely like at my usual gauge, so I was really happy about that. But I was really excited about how well these ended up matching. I mean, like, look at the heel. It's just right. And then even down to the toe, it really came out spectacular. And I think that says something about the gauge situation, and how unraveling really did help, as well as something else that I can't. You ever like just have a thought that just like mid-sentence floats out of your brain? Well, anyway, they matched up nicely. So I'm happy about that. Show you the other side too. So this is going to go to one of my children, and as I've said in a previous couple of podcasts, that I am right now working on knitting up socks for each of my sock-wearing kids, because they all, God bless them, they all really love my hand knit socks, and everybody always wants whatever pair I'm knitting, and so this way I'll just be able to give all of them a pair at the same time. So that's my plan. So this is going to one of the kids. My other finished object, which I'm pretty sure wasn't a finished object the last time. If it was, and I'm repeating myself, I'm really sorry. I don't think I had it done last time though. I'm going to show it off anyway. So I'm just going to put one on the sock blocker. But this is also yarn that I dyed. This is my January Sunset colorway, and I think I still have, as of right now, I think I still have one more skein left in my shop. So this is right here. I got the other one over here. And this is a smaller sock. It's going for one of my little guys. So it's really tight on this sock blocker. But this is, again, my January Sunset. This is actually my own pattern, Arethusa Falls. There's, that's Nacho the cat. So this is my Arethusa Falls pattern. And this was a fun little knit. I did this size small. The other one, this one here, this is size medium. This is size small. So 56 stitches for a cast on. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. And actually, I kind of like these as a set. I don't know, like the colors just, obviously they're very, very different, but I don't know, they just have like, they almost kind of have a similar feel to them. These bright colors, really pretty. So I will put these aside into the pile of socks to give kids. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is the leftover yarn from that first pair that I talked about. And I do believe this is going to be enough to make a shorty pair of socks. So I think I might have to, I'm gonna have to measure them again. I don't remember now how much I have left. Hey, kitty cat. I don't remember exactly how much I have left here. I may have to add in some contrasting heels and toes maybe to be sure that it's going to fit. But the colors here are a little bit different from where, I mean, they're the same basic colors, but they're a little bit kind of darker. Like it's a little more pastel up here. And then you can see colors start getting a little bit, at least the teal starts getting darker down here. And so these kind of continue with that dark teal and a little bit more, some blues in there, and that nice pretty like pink and some purple. Nacho knocked over my sock blocker that was in my lap. So anyway, I'm hoping to get another pair of socks out of here. I know Kay, the crazy sock lady, was talking about how she's planning on, I have to look up the pattern now, but you know, you always have, or almost always, at least I always have a little bit of yarn left over after I knit a pair of socks. I don't need the full 100 grams. And so Kay, same thing, she was thinking about taking her leftover yarn and knitting these little like no-show socks that she has a pattern for. I don't believe she wrote the pattern. It was from somebody else. I will look it up because it is something that I was kind of thinking about maybe trying for that leftover yarn there. But it does seem like a kind of a fun project to do with some of the leftover yarn. I mean, I put my leftovers into blankets and, my sea glass sweater. I forgot my sea glass sweater. I'll have to get that later. Okay, note to self, get sea glass sweater. Yeah, so sometimes I'd like to be able to save my leftover yarn for those things, but then the idea of maybe making some like matching socks with my kids, that sounds like it would be kind of fun too. Whether it be a sock for me with one of the kids or to have them match, because they still like matching their clothes sometimes, so thinking about it anyway. Okay, so those are my finished objects. I'm gonna stop this right now and go get my sea glass sweater so that way I can talk about my works in progress and then not end up forgetting about the sea glass sweater. So I will be right back. Here, maybe Nacho can keep you company. Look at me, Nacho. You wanna talk to everybody? Do you? Here, I'll put you, I'll put you here. Okay, what kind of secrets was Nacho telling you all? I swear I didn't do it. If he accused me of anything, I didn't do it. He's lying. Anyway, so I have my sea glass sweater stuff now. So let's talk about that. I have this in this giant old 31 bag that I have from forever ago. And I have more bags in it. This is a Knit Picks bag, which has a pile of scrappy minis in it. And I have this Midwest Stitches bag with more scraps and minis and all sorts of stuff. Oh boy. And here is my sweater so far. I love this sweater so much. So I am knitting this because I really wanted to knit the sea glass sweater, because like a lot of you, I'm sure you've seen it online. A ton of people are knitting the sea glass sweater in the sea glass tee. So the sweater is done in DK weight, the tee is in fingering weight. So yeah, a ton of people are doing them right now. And then Professor Pearl, Nicole, is doing a scrappy sweater knit along that she just started earlier this month. And since I really wanted to get this done, it was perfect timing for me to join in with that. So if you are interested in doing a sea glass sweater or any other scrappy sweater, totally join in with Nicole's knit along. We did a Zoom meeting sometime. I think we're doing them, I think she decided the first week of every month for like the next few months. We'll be having like a fun little Zoom meeting to talk about our projects and to kind of chit chat for a little while. So we had a ton of fun. Thank you so much, Nicole. But I've gotten quite a bit done even since that meeting. Although I haven't, really, I knit on this last night for the first time in a while. And I think I got like probably, how much? Maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches down here on the bottom. Look at this though. So it's just a 1x1 color work. You just alternate. And each row I am changing my colors. Initially I was going to like hold this color the whole way through and have that be my main color and then switch the contrast color every row. But when I did my swatch, talked about this last time, when I did my swatch, I decided I really liked the look of all of the colors and I think it's totally worth it. It looks so cool. I love this so much. So initially I was just gonna go with like pinks and purples and blues. And then a lot of my DK scraps are not pink, purple, and blue because I haven't been knitting DK for that long. So I couldn't resist adding in some of those scraps. So like this red down here, this was from the socks that I knit my husband for Christmas. This teal, which actually is what I was looking for. But this teal is the DK yarn that I dyed and that my daughter knit her socks with. I don't know if I talked about that on the podcast, but if you follow me on Instagram, I talked about it. My daughter Juliana, who's 11, knit her first pair of DK socks. I think it was her second pair of socks ever. Or was it her first pair? I don't remember now. But she knit that yarn. If I remember, I will include a picture of her socks because she did such a great job. It totally runs in the family. It's amazing. So I had those two that I really wanted to put in, and then there's some yellow here from the Winter's Beach cardigan that I knit up. So I wanted to have that in there. And then I've got a little bit of green here. This is technically worsted. This is from the, was it Fern and Feather? Yeah, the Fern and Feather sweater that I knit. It's technically worsted weight, but you can totally add that in. The pattern says it's fine. So I decided I would try to focus on, is a dog barking? I would try to focus on doing the pinks and purples and blues like I was hoping, but then throw in some multicolors, and I really like how it's coming out. I really love this. Now, because of all of this, and I have mostly fingering weight scraps, I'm holding fingering double to get DK. It does complicate things in that I have like ends like you wouldn't believe. Look at all these ends. It looks like, I don't know, a deranged Cabbage Patch Kid back here. But I did start weaving in some ends. So for like, I don't know, a whole 3/4 of an inch here, I have the ends woven in, and it's really not that bad. So I'm just whip stitching, I guess. I don't really know stitches too well, but I'm just kind of whip stitching into the back of the floats, and it's explained in the pattern, and I think it's going to be perfectly fine. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, so I think it's going to be great, and it's really not that bad. I'm not a big fan of weaving in ends, but I don't know. I think it's just all of the colors. It just makes me so happy that I don't really care that, I'm doing one of my least favorite knitting things. I mean, it's just fun. So what I'm doing, because initially I was just leaving them loose, and then they were kind of like, it was getting kind of rough. It was getting really loose over here. And then I started like taking all of the ends here, and I would just tie it up with a little like hair elastic. And that was oh, they're gonna fall off my needle. That was helping to kind of keep things cinched up a little bit better. And now what I'm doing is I'm just knotting loosely when I finish a row, and that's keeping them all together really well. And it's loose enough that I'll just be able to pull out the knot when I go to weave in the ends. And so that's working really well, because that was like one of the biggest problems that I was having, was just like everything was just falling apart over here. So that helped a bunch. So that's my sweater, and I did try it on last night, but I only had like this much done. But at least it showed me that, I think that, because I was a little worried, the neckline seems kind of big, but I put it on and it's not so bad. Like obviously as it gets heavier, the neckline's going to stretch out a bit. And I don't mind if it gets a little bit bigger, but I don't like a really, really big neckline, or I would prefer to not have a really, really big neckline. But I think it's going to be fine. I am a little bit, I think I don't know. I did go down at least 1 needle size, if not 2 needle sizes for the ribbing, but it still seems a little bit loose. So I might end up pulling this out and re-knitting it, but maybe it's going to be fine after everything, knits up and I block it and everything. Just right now it seems like kind of big. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, it's if I do have to re-knit that's not a big deal. I'm really not that worried about it. A little worried, not super worried. It's not going to ruin the sweater. Not a big deal. So that is my super cool, if I do say so myself, sea glass sweater. It's by Woolen Pine Designs, and I'll link it below. So if you have any scraps and are looking to do a sweater, it's so fun. It's absolutely addicting. So like I said, I've got just like tons and tons and tons. Look at all. Just squished in here. Whew. All right, so there's the sweater. I have a few sock works in progress here. Let's start with this one. I'm not even sure which this one is. I haven't worked on it. Okay, I've got that one, and then this one, and then I've got this one. Okay, have I knit? Yes, I have knit this since talking about it last. So this is my, well, this bag is from Midwest Stitches. Again, you will sense a theme with Midwest Stitches. I have many bags that she has gifted me, or like this is a gift. Thank you, Danielle. And then a bunch that I have purchased myself. I love her bags. She just really does a great job with her sewing. Great quality, nice little details like the little clippy in there to put your stitch markers on. This is a zipper version. I have some drawstring ones. She makes fantastic bags, so be sure to check her out. I'll link her below, as I always do. So these are socks from Daisy Stitch Co., part of that sock set box that I am a part of. Well, I'm not a part of the box. I ordered the box. Well, this one actually, she said, Shelly sent this particular yarn to me to review it, and then I loved it so much that I did sign up for it. So does that make sense? Okay. So I believe I talked about this already. I got one of the socks done, and I did a picot edge here, rolled cuff, and a little bit of color work down here with some hearts. And I am in the midst of doing the heel flap back here, so I still have a bit to go. It's really fast though. Vanilla knitting for most of the sock, which goes by super quick for me. I just have been doing other things, and so I haven't gotten this particular sock done yet. This is actually another sock that's going to one of my children. So I just need to sit down and finish this one up. I really am enjoying it. I love this base. It's a 75-25 base. The colors are so fun. Here, I'll show another close-up. I know I've talked about it before, but... So Shelly currently has openings for that sock set box if you are interested in signing up for it yourself. I'll link it down below. I'm getting very excited because I know the next box will be showing up very soon. It's an every other month subscription, which I think is just perfect. Because the once a month ones, I mean, those are fine. No judging if you are, I mean, I did them before. I subscribed to Yarnable and loved it, but I did accumulate quite a bit of Yarnable yarn. And I mean, you can like pause that. You don't have to get it every month. But I think the every other month is really good. And then I do a box as well, and I do mine quarterly. So I kind of like the idea of having them a little more spread out. That way you can get maybe multiple ones if you want, switch things up a little bit, or, you know, be able to get some mystery throughout the year, but not use up a ton of your knitting dollars on something that you don't know every time. Because I know some people love the mystery, and I really like the mystery, but then sometimes I want to know what I'm buying too. So those are that sock set box socks that I will hopefully have done for the next podcast. Let me take a drink here. So good. Okay. So next one is another bag from Midwest Stitches, which is wintry. Winter is slowly disappearing, but I'm still using my bag. This is Barocco Comfort Sock. I think that's how you pronounce it. Barocco. If you know how to pronounce that, let me know, and I'll try to remember. This is color 1811, and it is, I think it was, I don't remember the name of it. I'll look it up. But I ordered this. This is actually technically part of my acquisitions because this came in, I think, a week or two ago from Webs, yarn.com. And when I ordered this, I didn't look closely at the fiber content, and I was a little surprised when it got in because it is 50% superfine nylon and 50% acrylic, superfine acrylic. And I was a little worried about that. I'm like, acrylic? I'm not a huge fan of knitting with acrylic. It's kind of scratchy, but in a, I don't know, like for me, like it just feels like it kind of, I don't know how to describe acrylic. Not all acrylics. And I certainly, you know, I've knit with plenty of acrylic. It's just, I don't know, for me, once I started knitting with wool, that just turned into such an enjoyable experience. That's why almost all of my knitting now is with wool. Same thing with cotton. Cotton and acrylic just, I don't know, I don't particularly enjoy the way it feels on my hands. But this yarn feels incredible. It's really, really soft. So this is the ball that I have here. It's getting a little wonkadoo from being in my bag and tossed around and everything. But it's very soft. It doesn't feel like acrylic. It feels softer than wool. I don't know how it's gonna hold up. I did talk to a few people on Instagram. I was asking if anybody had any experience with knitting with acrylic sock yarn. And people said that it's really nice. It holds up, so we'll see. I have gotten beyond the heel turn in this pair. Or, well, the first sock of the pair. It's a little wrinkly. It's been shoved in my bag for the last week because I've been working on other things, but it's got this really nice subtle self-striping thing going on here. And I really like how it turned out that like this big block of gray showed up on the cuff and then again on the heel turn. So I don't know what's going to happen on the toe, but like right now it almost looks like I planned it that way, which is kind of fun. But these are coming out nice. Like they feel really great. I think they're going to be nice. I just hope that they last. But I mean, it's acrylic and nylon, 50% nylon. It's probably going to wear great. We'll see if it pills or anything. I don't know, but it's kind of a fun experiment. And it wasn't very expensive yarn, which is why I ordered it in the first place, because Webs has so many, like, I mean, they have inexpensive yarn all the way up to like the really fancy stuff. And so it was just kind of fun to try out a little bit of everything. I don't know. I like to try new things. So those are those socks. Hoping to have those done pretty soon. I think those are going to be a gift for one of the kids too. I don't know. I've kind of lost track of who's getting what sock. I might end up with a couple of socks, but it's fine. I'll just have another sock all ready for the next round of when I pass them out to everybody. All right, and then my last work in progress is in a bag by, oh dear, I'm drawing a blank. It doesn't matter, she doesn't sell bags anyway, but nice woman that I met on Instagram way back, I think right in the beginning when I first started. Crafting Euphoria, that's it, Crafting Euphoria. So she sewed me up some bags. We actually did like a little trade. I traded her some yarn and she gave me some bags. And this has a breaking yarn pin on it that I got from McKaylee over at Breaking Yarn. And I have a test knit in this bag. I'm so excited. I've never done a test knit before. I mean, I've had my own test knits, but I have not been a part of one before. So it's kind of funny, like, to run my own test knit. I didn't do it quite the same way that this one's going. And this one's actually been really fun because there's like a giant group of us and we're all chatting on Instagram and like showing pictures and talking about knitting and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. And there's like different podcasters in the test group. So I've got to see some new podcasts that I haven't watched before. I watched the Sweater Weather podcast last night. I watched Fiber. I'm going to put it here because I'm drawing a blank, as I always do. Fiber something or other from Australia. Why does my brain not work? Anyway, so I been enjoying those two, and those ladies have been a lot of fun on the chit chat on Instagram. So this is for Professor Pearls, aka Nicole. She is doing her very first sock pattern, and this is her first test knit, and so I was really excited that she chose me to be part of this. And I have one sock done, and this isn't a secret. She's already talked about it on her podcast, and we've been posting pictures on Instagram and everything, so I can totally show you now. But this is my first sock here, and it's DK weight. She has it written for either DK weight or for fingering held with mohair, and so I am doing the medium DK, and they came out lovely. It was a super fast knit. I got this done in like just a little over 24 hours. There's a bit of a close-up of the pattern, the texture here. It's so nice, and it's based on a rib pattern, so it's really stretchy. I did the knit 3 purl 1 option for the cuff. Look at this little like garter ridge here. Like, what a nice detail. And then the heel turn is a Dutch heel turn, so it's a little more square than the heel turn that I usually do. Rounded. And kind of pointy. So hers is a little more square. And I don't know, like, it just, the way it knit up, it just gave like such a nice little detail on there. It's really pretty. And then the toe is a little different from how I do it. My toe again tends to be a little bit more rounded, but same basic. If you've ever knit any of my patterns before, then you know how to do this stuff. I mean, it's pretty basic sock knitting stuff. This was not difficult. Loved it, really did. I am almost done the second pair. I'm just beyond the heel turn here, so I just have to do the foot and the toe, and I should have that done, hoping to maybe try to get it done tonight, and so then I'll have a new pair of socks to show you. So that's been great, and again, thank you, Nicole, for including me in this test knit. It's been a blast. So those are all of my works in progress, unless I'm forgetting something else. Now I'm pretty sure that's it. So now I have a few acquisitions to talk about. My mother-in-law my mother and father-in-law gave me a little bit of money for my birthday 2 months ago, January. And so I bought some yarn over at websyarn.com. I wanted to try some new stuff that I haven't tried before that, I've heard a lot of people talking about. So I got some Regia yarn. Got 2 balls here. I think they're both DK. Let me look at this. They're huge. Yeah, they're DK weight. 150 grams each. And so you get 410 yards, which is amazing. So that's 100 grams. Usually you get 400 plus yards for fingering weight. But this is DK. So I probably be able to get 2 pairs of socks out of this, I'm thinking. We'll see. Because it's DK, so it knits up a little bit more. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But so this is the Regia Digital Future Color 6-ply, and it is in the color, I don't know where it's set. I know there was 2 different names for it. That looks like it's in German, so I don't know. I think it's on clearance right now, so I'm not sure where you can get it. But anyway, I'll link down below, as I always do. So that makes a really, really fun color. So I'm gonna try this one. And then I also have the Arnie and Carlos design line. And so this is gonna make a really cool self-striping, Nordic looking pattern. Faux Nordic. I mean, obviously it's not, you're not really doing any color work, but I really wanted to try this because I've seen so many people knit these amazing Regia socks, and I hear that they wear iron, so had to try that. Oh, it's so nice. It's just squishy. It's definitely like not as soft as some other DK yarns, but I'm never really bothered by that. I almost kind of like the slightly toothy wool. It's just funny, I'm talking about acrylic and how I'm really like picky about acrylic and cotton, and I don't like the way it feels, but I really like the soft wools, but then some of these woolier wools I really enjoy as well. I don't know what it is about wool. It's just nice. So yeah, I'm going to got plans for those. I think my husband's gonna get a pair of socks out of this one. Probably one of the kids with this one. Ooh, the sun has hit my camera now, and I've got this like line. There we go. I do a lot of knitting for my family. I'm so lucky that they really enjoy my socks. And I haven't knit a pair for my mother in a while, so Grandma, if you're watching, I'm gonna make you some socks sometime soon. Yeah, you deserve some socks. So my last acquisition is a fancy yarn that I've been looking at for a long time and I haven't bought, but because this was birthday money, I figured I'm gonna splurge a little bit. Plus I got a bit of a discount because if you buy, I forget what the amount is. Is it over $65 or $75? You get a discount for certain yarns. So it wasn't quite as expensive, but I got some hedgehog fibers yarn, some sock yarn, shocker, I know. And this is in the colorway Merman, and I could not resist this. These deep blues and these neon speckles. Oh, look at how pretty it is, and it's so soft. So this is fingering weight. It's a 90% merino wool, 10% nylon blend. So it's going to be very, very luxurious. It's very soft. And it is sock yarn, even though it's a 90-10. And I've talked about this before, that I was a little bit concerned about knitting with a 90-10. But I'm going to try it anyway. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'll just blow a hole through my super expensive socks. But come on. And then, like, the tag with the, what do you call it? I can't think of the word. Story of my life. But look at how fun that is. So anyway, I'm really excited to finally try some hedgehog fibers. That is just luxury for sure. So I guess that is all of the knitting to talk about.
Hey, it's Editing Lauren here, and I have one more project to talk about that I forgot to mention. This is a pair of socks that I knit for my husband. I've already given them to him and he's worn them, so I don't know if I will have them for the podcast, but I do have this picture. So this is Polka Dot Creek yarn. It is DK weight sock yarn. It was a sock set that I bought from crazysockladyco.com. The colorway is Tobogganin. And I knit this with a 64 stitches cast on. It has a knit 2 purl 2 cuff and then a knit 3 purl 1 ribbing all along the leg and the top of the foot. I did add some extra rows into the heel flap, and that actually really helped get a really good fit on this sock. I've noticed that my husband tends to have a little bit of it's a little tight around the top of his foot, kind of where the heel is. And so by adding those extra rows, it gave him a little more room, and they fit fantastic.
The weather's been great. We are finally getting close to some springtime. So happy about that. We have been dealing with illness in the house for the last forever, it seems. It's just been the winter of illness. Nothing serious at any point. Like, it just feels like it's been one cold after another, after this and that and stuff. Ugh. So I'm pretty tired. I am definitely really, really ready for some good weather. Not that illness just like disappears after the weather gets better, but usually it's not quite so bad. Winter, just ugh. But yeah, so right now everybody seems to be in good shape. We have a small cold that some of the little guys have right now, but not a big deal. Okay, you got a drippy nose and a tiny cough. not a big deal. I can handle that. So hopefully those guys will be feeling better soon. Tomorrow I am actually going to a big spinning class about an hour away, so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. As you know, I am a baby spinner, just learned in the last few months, and I'm really looking for, I have taken, like, I went to one spinning, spinning hour kind of a session thing, and got a few pointers over there, and then the ladies that I met over there or one of the woman who was like running that little like spinning hour, she is organizing a class to start tomorrow, or not to start, it's just for the one day tomorrow, and I'm excited to get to do that. I haven't taken like an official spinning class yet, so there's that sun again. So I haven't taken an official spinning class yet, and I'm really looking forward to this, to like really start to understand what my spinning wheel does, how I can use it, how I can make the yarn that I want, and yeah, so I will have some new stuff to talk about next time for sure about spinning. So if you are excited about spinning stuff like I am, definitely like and subscribe so that way you will know when I have all of my new spinning information to talk about. So I got that going on. The weather's supposed to be a little bit iffy. We weren't even sure if we were going to be able to do the class. There was some talk about maybe trying to postpone till next week, and I was a little bummed about that because I'm not going to be available to take the class next week. But we decided to go with it tomorrow because the weather, I don't know, they're going back and forth. They're saying rain and they're saying snow and they're saying a mix. It should be okay though. I think we'll be fine. At least from where I'm coming from, it's probably going to be rain the whole time. I don't think it's supposed to switch over to snow until later. So I should be okay. And I'll be taking my husband's car, which is actually quite good in the snow. So I think I'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. So I got that. Pretty excited about it. And yeah, I think that's all to really talk about right now. But what I will do is I will take you all down for a quick tour of the railroad, because that'll be fun. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really does help me to be able to reach more of you, and it lets me know that you are enjoying my content. Also, feel free to make a comment down below. I love talking to everybody about what you're working on or what you enjoyed in the video. Any, pointers or things that you might want me to talk about in the future, let me know. I know a lot of people have been enjoying the dyeing process that I put in one of my past videos, so I am looking to be doing a bit more of that. So that's why I included, or will be including, I think I'll probably put it in the beginning of the video, but that's why I did that again. So I hope you like that. So anyway, I hope you have a great week or two whenever it is that I come back to chit chat with you all. Happy knitting. Have a great time. Stay healthy. See you later. Bye-bye.